What's up, everybody? I'm Tim, and this is Demi Tebow. And
Welcome to our home.
Yes, we're so excited to welcome you in to be sort of a part of our family today.
Yeah.
Ish.
We're on set filming and shooting at the cover for Success magazine, and we'd love to take you along.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for inviting us into your home, Tim Tebow and Demi-Leigh, of course. This is just such an amazing time, and we're really, really excited for you to be on the cover of our Business of Sports issue of Success magazine. Really, really excited to have you, so thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Sorry about all the pollen and dog hair. But
We're in your home, and this is all natural, and thank you so much. So we're here today to talk to you about a lot of different things, really exciting. And I wanted to start, and maybe Demi, you can answer, but how did you guys meet? Tell us the beautiful story of what led you to here today.
Oh man, it's probably one of my favorite stories to be able to tell. So thank you for asking. I grew up in South Africa, so that's hence the little bit of a messed up accent. I always said I'm never going to say y'all, but now I don't know what to say instead of it. So,
It's a great word.
it is. It just goes.
Just
with
means
everything.
so much.
Carrie, I grew up as an only child for most of my life until I was about 10 years old. I got the best news that I was going to be a big sister. And my little sister ended up being born. Her name was Franja. Mm-hmm. And when she was about 4 months old, she was sadly diagnosed with cerebellar agenesis, and also where her black and white matter in her brain had been disrupted. And that had left her severely disabled and with a lot of special needs, growing up her whole entire life. And the year I won Miss Universe, part of my contract was to live in New York City for the year. Mm-hmm. And so I did. And on a day, this guy I had never heard of before, Tim Tebow, reached out to me. That's how I thought you said his name. So reached out to me. Well, actually pretty much reached out to my sister, and invited her to a worldwide celebration called Night to Shine. And
For individuals with special needs.
yes, Night to Shine is hosted by the Tim Tebow Foundation, and it's a worldwide celebration for people with individuals with special needs and disabilities, and it's hosted in over 62 countries up to date, 821 locations worldwide, and South Africa just happened to be one of the countries. And so I didn't know who Tim was, but I actually did hear about Night to Shine before because of my little sister. And, to make a long story short, we got connected that way. And I'm so grateful because honestly, when we first met, we didn't necessarily have a ton in common. Braveheart was not on my top 5 movie list. I'd never seen an American football game.
I can't speak Afrikaans.
No, we grew up on 2 different continents, different
Wow.
cultures. But we had so much in purpose, I would say, through, I think, our shared heart for just loving God and trying to love people well. And that was one of the ways that we met, was in the way that Tim had loved people just like my little sister all over the world.
What a beautiful, beautiful story, and obviously the beginning of your journey together.
Yes.
Today. And Tim, I mean, honestly, you're the Tim Tebow Foundation. Not only is it obviously world renowned now, but you're growing and you are helping people around the world, especially those with different issues and different problems around the world. And can you explain a little bit about the foundation and what you do?
I'd love to. It's one of my favorite things to be able to talk about. The Tim Tebow Foundation, our mission statement is to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. To really sum it up, it's to fight for people that can't fight for themselves. And we're fortunate to do that now in a little over 90 countries around the world. So whether that's those that are abandoned, afflicted, thrown away, trafficked, exploited, abused, that's who we feel called to, and their darkest hour of need. So those that are in crisis, chaos, and conflict, that's where we've been called, and that's who we've been called to. And it really started when I was 15 years old, and I was in the jungles of the Philippines on a remote island, and I had the privilege of meeting a boy who was born with his feet on backwards. And because he was born that way, he was viewed as less than, insignificant, and cursed. Mm-hmm. But I knew that he wasn't insignificant to God, but I felt like God was pricking my heart saying, yeah, but what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And I knew that I loved sports that day. I was competitive and I loved winning. I hated losing even more. But but I knew that day I was called to compete for something more important, and that wasn't for MVP awards like I did most of my life, the most valuable player, but it was for a more important MVP, the most vulnerable people. And so now we like to share that we have the privilege of chasing after a more important MVP, the most vulnerable people around the world, and we're so grateful to be able to do it.
That's amazing. And of course, the theme of this particular issue is the business of sports. But what we really wanted to do and what the vision is behind it is those who have had successful careers in athletics or even, as agents or as coaches and have gone on to do amazing philanthropy work and different businesses and different entrepreneurial endeavors that are really helping people. And obviously, that's a huge mission. So you knew that you wanted to help people even before your big career in sports, I presume. It sounds like it's been like
Yes,
almost
ma'am.
like a lifetime.
I didn't. Well, there was I was born in the Philippines. I was born on the mission field. We lived there 5 years. We moved back, but I got to spend a lot of time going overseas and being able to see the world growing up. And so it really impacted me in so many ways. That story being the biggest catalyst, and then being, several more after that. And I didn't know what it looked like. I knew I wanted to. I knew I was called to fight for the least to last the lost. I didn't know how it looked like. I didn't know what exactly, how could we live that out? But the first thing I did when I graduated from University of Florida, like literally one of the first things, was to start the foundation in writing that mission statement to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. And I wrote that just thinking about that boy and all the boys and girls around the world like him. In their darkest hour of need, and what are they needing? They're needing faith, hope, and love. And so it started with orphan care, caring for boys and girls like that. Then it got into caring for individuals with special needs, and then it got into our first hospital there, and then it grew in more and more along the way. And we just continue to, as we screw up a lot, but just try to take the next step and continue to learn and grow and get to just as many people as we can.
It's just amazing. I mean, rehabilitation centers and all these different kind of safe houses as well around the world, which is so important, right? Especially nowadays. Demi, with your obviously being Miss Universe and having that extraordinary success in your life and in your personal journey, how has it evolved since now you're a global ambassador, you're a global advocate for those who need help, and obviously this this coupledom is amazing. But on a personal note, as a role model for women and those who obviously struggle, how has your journey evolved for yourself?
You know what? I ended up writing a book about all of the crowns in my life, all of the achievements that did not necessarily last in my life. And something that I have learned through that is, you can work so hard to get that corner office, to get that achievement, to get that degree, to get that title that we feel and think is going to give us worth, is going to give us value, is going to give us impact in a way. And something that I have learned is the crowns in our life that truly have the opportunity to have an everlasting impact is the potential that we have to make an impact in somebody else's life. I'm so grateful for the platform that I was given. I am so grateful for the community that I've been able to build through a title like Miss Universe. But I really hope that it doesn't just stop there, and that I get to use that platform to point people to something bigger than just myself.
I love that. I love that. And you know what I love about that too is, Success Magazine, we highlight, obviously successful people in business and entrepreneurship and philanthropy. And a lot of times the whole idea of your title comes up, which is basically what you're saying. Like someone's title should never define what they are doing in their lifetime. There's much, much more to that, which is exactly what you're touching on, right? All those crowns that people wear. So on that note, obviously this past year now, you've written books and you have lots of things in the works. Is there something you want to share about all that? And also, how do you like being an author?
It's been
Well, she's a really
so
good
fun.
one, I can say that.
Hey, I had a lot of catching up to do to this author over here, but it's been such a fun process. It's just, I never imagined that I would enjoy and find so much fulfillment in writing. I never knew how just therapeutic it would be, and now I can't imagine myself not writing. I don't know how you feel about that.
She loves it so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That couch over there with that fireplace, my MacBook, and just thoughts probably 3 a.m. in the morning. But yes, it's been
It's
so
also
fun.
a way that she really processes thinking through a lot, is kind of sitting down and typing it out. I am very different when it comes to
Opposite.
that. I am a communicator and really processing it as I kind of talk and think through it that way. And so we're very different, but it's been fun to see how much she loves just curling up and just going to work on that keyboard, and then she'll be like, "Oh, look at this thought," and it kind of pans out, and I just love it. I love how much she loves it.
And I love, actually, I'm an author myself, and obviously I write for a living, and you hit the nail on the head when you said it's very therapeutic, because I feel that way as well.
Yeah.
You know, put your pen to paper or just even on the keyboard there, and it's very therapeutic because you're able to not only put your thoughts, obviously, into paper, but it's something about putting it down, then you know it's going to happen. It's almost like your own kind of, you know, accountability in a
Sure.
way, right? If it's
Yeah.
there, then you know
Yeah.
you're going to do it, or you're going to believe it, and you're going to share that message. So I love
It's not
that.
just in thin air. Now it's
No,
actually
that's
down.
right.
It's tangible. It's real.
And I think the thing that I love so much about writing was, yes, it was therapeutic, and it allowed me to process my thoughts alongside my readers, right? I definitely don't have everything figured out, but it was so fun to be able to have a conversation with my readers through writing. So I think it's something that I really, really enjoyed.
I think one of the things that she did so well in her first 2 books was taking the readers on a journey where she got to share things that she's encountered or learned, to give pieces of advice, but also as she's learning and growing through something, hey, this is something I haven't figured out. This is what I'm in the middle of. This is the process. This is me without the makeup. This is me with the makeup. And just really that honesty and vulnerability, I think is one of the best parts of her writing, is that journey that she's taking that reader on with her, where they get to see all the different sides of her.
I love that because it's relatable, right? And I mean, that's the whole point about it, right? You want to you want to be relatable to your audience. I really love that too. So Tim, like looking back on your time with the NFL now, of course, right? How did your career in professional sports influence the way you do approach philanthropy nowadays and your public service?
Oh, I think that my opportunity to train and play and compete and so many different games and sports and leagues and teams for so long, I think it helps. It teaches you discipline and how to compete, and a work ethic and a drive and all of these things, and ability to compartmentalize and go after what you want. And you think about the times getting ready for a season, the hours and the days and the weeks that you would put in that preparation, and you would do all of that to, let's say, maybe make a team, to earn a job, to earn an opportunity, to score a touchdown, to win a game, maybe a championship. And those are fine and good, and sometimes really, really exciting things that we're passionate about. But if I would do all of those things and work so hard with a level of intensity and a level of focus and a level of effort for that, what should I be willing to do for something that I say matters so much more than a game? If I would do all that and give up so many vacations and give up so many days with friends or opportunities or anything else that would take me away from it, so that I could maybe be 1% of 1% of 1% better, then how much more should I work, focus, or strive if I say this matters so much more? And I think all of those days and weeks and years and training and all of that, I think it's challenged me. And sometimes equipped me. But I think also maybe more than that inspired me. Man, if I did this for a game and I say this matters more, I better be willing to do something about it.
You know, to me, that reminds me of the weekend when we first moved into our home after we got married and COVID hit, and we were like, okay, we're gonna be home for 2 weeks at that point. I remember us going for a walk, and it's one of the things I love so much about Tim, because he can say so many things, but the way that I get to see that he lives out his words that are physically spoken is one of the greatest honors of my life. And anyway, I learn from you all the time. But we went on a walk and we came back, and I'll make a long story short, there's a lot of glass windows. Well, we come back from our walk and we just see our driveway is flooded with...
We can literally see through all these
like
right there.
It's just flooded with red lights, blue lights. I'm like, oh my word, I left the candle burning. I left the hair straightened. I didn't even cook today, but it's the oven on. Like, what did I do? What did we leave on?
We're out there and we're seeing through all the glass out front.
And so we somehow locked ourselves out of our own homes. We run around and we meet all the fire trucks and police and ambulances in our driveway, and we're like, what's going on? And the one firefighter's like, is this house 795? And I say, no, it's that way. Well, that way goes all the firefighters, all the policemen. Long story short, I send them down a cul-de-sac and down the wrong way, but for not part of the whole story, not part of the point. The next moment, Tim goes running with all the firefighters, all the policemen, all the ambulances down that way. And, at that point, I'm like, we just got married. Like, you don't know what you're running into. Like, that could be danger. And I go, Tim Tebow, you get back here right now. And he stops in his tracks and he turns around and he teaches me one of the greatest lessons that I think I've ever been taught in my life. And he tells me, Demi, if I don't go, there is nothing that I can do to help. And there's nothing that I could say back in that moment. I get all teary even just thinking about it. There's nothing that I could say back in that moment, because he was so right. If I am not willing to sacrifice, if I'm not willing to put something on the line, if I'm not willing to take a step, there is nothing that I can do to contribute to something bigger than myself, to somebody that's in desperate need. And that is the Tim that I get to see, that I don't think a lot of people get to see all the time. It's one of the things I think that makes me so proud to be your wife.
Aw. And it's such a beautiful union, because you're right. Like, we see Tim on, on the field, or obviously on the stage now, and all these different things you do. But to see you both here together and to get to experience and witness how close you really are, how aligned you are, it's really, really a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
So on that note, back to your foundation, how can people, learn more about it? Where would you want to send people to find out more? I'm sure they're going to be very intrigued now about learning more.
Thank you. They can go to timtebowfoundation.org and check out more. But my encouragement wouldn't be to necessarily get involved with us. If you feel led and called, sure, we'd love it. But it would be get involved in something with someone, because there's someone that might be waiting or praying for you, that you could be an answer to their prayer. If you just say yes. It could be the person that you're waiting in line behind Starbucks today, or the person you could hold a door open for, or the little act of kindness that could have a great ripple effect. And sometimes we think we're waiting for those big moments. And sometimes those big moments actually show up in a really small, faithful gesture of just kindness, goodness, or love. Choosing somebody else's best interest and acting on their behalf. And stopping from the moment and the chaos of busyness and the next thing and the rat race and keeping up with the Joneses that we get so caught up in, and seeing the worth and how precious the people are around us. You see, one of the things I think we miss, and I've missed so often in my life, is we see the titles, we see the actions, we see the success or failure of people, and we see them that way, rather than really seeing their true worth and value behind all of the glitz and glamour or lack thereof that people put on their exterior. And we miss the real worth and the value of people, because what we're just seeing is what the world has labeled or what they haven't labeled And when we do that, we miss the special underneath all of it.
That's beautiful. And you know, on that point, there's so many different chapters in all of our lives as well. So you know, no matter where you come from, or if there's been, you know, things you've done wrong, or mistakes, or setbacks, or challenges, it doesn't define you. Back to what we were talking about. But it's all those little things that you're talking about, like those little gestures, standing behind someone in Starbucks, or just, you know, walking an older person across the road, or something like that. Getting down to pet a dog. You know, it just shows that, and I think by osmosis, I'm sure that we'll all start to feel it.
It doesn't have to, but sometimes we let it.
Yeah.
We let, it's so easy for me to let prior mistakes cripple me from not wanting to do something. And so we live in a fear or a shame or a guilt instead of a freedom to now love and be kind and give and live that way. And so I'd encourage all of us, we work on this daily because we fail at it daily, is to not let prior decisions, mistakes, or successes define today. Live in that freedom of today so that you can be present, so that you can be aware, so that you can strive to be your best. And again, we all fall short of that, but strive to be your best, because it's so easy to let yesterday affect today and even our hope for tomorrow.
And you know, I think for me personally, something that has held me back in moments like that has just been my own pride. Feeling like I'm supposed to give a massive donation or start an organization to actually have an impact. And there was a young girl, she was 19 years old, in a moment in my life where nobody else was willing to stop to help me in one of my deepest, darkest hour of need, where she stopped and she used just what she had in that moment. It was an old little beat up little car, and she got me to safety, which was what I needed in that moment. And you know, she taught me such a great lesson that just use what you have where you're at, right here, right in front of you, and the ripple effect of goodness that can come from that. You know, I don't think we'll probably ever get to see that in this lifetime. But it doesn't mean that there is not a ripple effect of goodness that can come from just one simple act of kindness, one simple act of obedience.
And you talk about the ripple effect, and we talk about, you know, creating legacies, right, for those who will come after us. Just wanted to address, obviously, you know, your pregnancy, and you know, how excited are you about entering into this new chapter? And it's obviously you're prepared, you're ready, you're gonna be wonderful.
I don't know if we're prepared or ready. I mean,
Maybe not,
you're giving
but
us a lot of credit that we have not earned. I don't know if we're prepared or ready, but we are excited.
Good.
We have been getting a lot of great advice.
She's probably a lot more prepared and ready than I am.
Maybe I'm speaking from the female side here, but I'm sure you are. But how excited are you? And tell us a little bit about like what's to come in as individuals, and also obviously as a couple and a family.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
I think the thing I'm most excited about, and we definitely are not fully prepared or ready, but I know that we are together. And that is probably the thing that I am so excited about, is that we get to raise this baby together. And I couldn't imagine anyone more loving, more patient, more kind, just enduring to be able to be on this journey with. And I know that even just seeing how you've, you know, been a dog dad for the last couple
That's a lot of
of
practice,
years.
right? That's a lot of practice.
You get little glimpses, but just makes me so proud and just grateful that we get to do this together.
Well, we're just so humbled and grateful for this blessing, and also know that it's something we're probably not fully equipped or prepared for, but I know we'll learn a lot along the way, and we will also just enjoy that, every bit of it.
Yeah, and grateful for the responsibility that God's chosen to give us, you know. I mean, such a blessing, but also such a responsibility, and one that we take on gladly and with so much excitement.
I love that. I love that so much. So congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Just to close then, and we always do this in our interviews, but maybe both of you can answer individually, but what would be your definition of success in your lifetime? It's probably a big question. But.
That's a good question.
I think for me, it's finding that purpose in your life, finding that thing that brings you fulfillment, and that's not attached to a temporary label or an achievement that is just going to be temporary, but finding something to live for that is bigger than just yourself. Call that purpose, call that your life's calling, whatever you want to title that. I think that's been the moment in my life where I have felt the most content and the most amount of fulfillment. Were the moments where I did not wear the crown made up of diamonds and pearls. Were the quiet moments, were maybe the lonely moments where I still got to be content, knowing that I am walking in a purpose that was specifically designed for my life.
I love that.
That's awesome.
What about you, Tim?
I think what Demi said with purpose is great. What does purpose mean? The reason something is done, used, created, or exists. And when you feel like you are living in the reason that you were created and the reason that you exist, like when you get to do something, you feel like, man, like I was created to do this. It is a really special feeling. If I was to maybe take that one step further, I would say it's the privilege of being able to chase after and run after and give to something that you know is worth far more than rubies or jewels. And when you run after things with, I like to say, infinite worth and value, which is people, when you get to make a difference in people's lives, one of the things I like to encourage people with is to chase after significance more than success. But if you really wanted to define success, I think one way you could think about it is making a list of the things that you really believe are important with your life and making sure that your greatest effort, attitude, focus, determination, strain is for those things. So many times we get to have conversations and I could say, maybe, what are your biggest priorities? What are your biggest priorities? And someone asks me, what are your biggest priorities? I'll answer them. And then if we were to all think, well, if you say that's number one, or 1, 2, and 3, this year, last 365 days, how much energy have you put towards what you say is number one? Like, you think about so much of our lives, we say families that way, but yet we get so busy and you see your family twice a year.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait,
Exactly.
I just said that family is one of the highest ones, but I just put them on the back burner. Why? Well, sometimes it's for good reasons. It's to be able to plan and prepare and have things to support your family. But I just think keeping that in mind, chasing after the things that are going to really last. I chase so hard, and it's not a bad thing, but to win a game, to try to be successful on a field or a diamond or a court. And I just hope with my time going forward, if we can have a conversation at the end of my life or in heaven looking back, I could say, you know what, it started for a game, but it truly ended for the things that really mattered. And I think that would be part of trying to chase after success, be chasing after the things that are truly meaningful.
I love that. Thank you so much. That was beautiful, beautifully said. And actually, that's the first time, just so you know, first time I've ever heard that answer from that question. And I've interviewed a lot of different people. Thank you so much.
Our
Loved
pleasure.
It.
What do you
Loved
usually hear?
What?
Definitely not significant. So.
No, I love that. That's what I meant. That's the part that I loved. You know what?
But my favorite in the way I define that is I believe success is about you, significance is about other people. And are you chasing a life of success or are you chasing a life of significance? And it's hard because our flesh, we want success, but we have to really be willing to choose significance.
Like a lot of people have said, you know, obviously, you know, success is having a happy family and a healthy family, or you know, happy and healthy is a big thing, whether you have a family or not. But just the way you position that, I really, really like that. I love that. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you guys want to add at all. You talked about books, you talked about storytelling, talked about your foundation. This will all be clipped and
Yeah,
all
whatever
that.
whatever
It's
you want.
amazing.
Doesn't
No,
matter.
I'm good. I think I'm good. Allison, are we good? Yeah?